This is Claire from the Here and There Collective. I'm here today with artist Serena Chang. I'm very excited to be speaking with her about her overall practice as well as her specific project, Sweetwater, that was up at Island Gallery. Welcome, Serena. I think that it may be great to have you start by introducing yourself a little bit and your practice.
Yeah. My name is Serena Chang, and I am a Taiwanese-American artist and fabricator. I co-founded Shisanwu, which is a materials and research facility that focuses on sculpture, fabrication, as well as Lunch Hour, a collective that focuses on labor and putting together exhibitions.
We have met each other as curator, artist, producer. I think maybe it would be helpful for me to share just kind of the timeline, and then it will also offer a little bit of insight into our many different hats. And I think this is important because it also shares the background for a lot of artist practices that involve so many different kinds of jobs or activities beyond just their practice that is often kind of focused upon. So I first got to know you through the exhibition Means of Production that was held in this facility, in this warehouse that we're in right now. Maybe you could speak a little bit about that project and the formation of Lunch Hour.
Yeah, me and two other collaborators, Lily Ju Shang and Do Tuong Lin, we have been having these conversations for a long time just around the division of wage labor and art practice and what it means to be an artist in New York and abroad in 2025. And there was a lot of shared sentiment amongst our peers and artist friends around the increasing unsustainability of maintaining a practice and working in New York City, and so I've also been thinking about putting together this exhibition for a long time, just because of the context of this building and of my work and of the family business of the hosiery, and kind of merging a lot of these practices into some kind of project, and so it kind of naturally formed. And yeah, we decided it kind of just grew a little bit out of control. We didn't mean for it to be such a large show, but the space was very conducive to that. So we kind of just let it happen, and it was all kind of natural. And yeah, it turned out to be this 80-person exhibition,
Right.
Involving screenings and performances and sculptures and everything, really. Just yeah.
Maybe this would be a good point to transition to speak about your very exciting solo show that just came down at Island Gallery, Sweetwater. Can you speak a little bit to what the title is referring to?
Yeah, so the sugarcane installation stemmed from some research I was doing about Taiwan and this region where my parents are from, near Tainan, like in the south of Taiwan. And there's a long history of sugarcane industry, farming, production, that has, many different cycles within history in this area. And the legacy of this commodity is still infused into the culture today. So through cuisine, there's these kind of like strange connections to the past where, there's like a pretty dark past of like colonialism and exploitation and, the capitalism that was happening about sugarcane, but actually there's also all this pride about the like economic like strength that brought to this region as well. And so yeah, it's kind of these strange relationships that I've been thinking about. And so the sugarcane farming in this area, there's a lot of like, I guess, just sugar in the food. And so They say the cuisine is just sweeter. And so there was also a saying back in the day that even like the water is sweet in Tainan just because like sugar was just everywhere and just such a part of the culture and region and like identity. And so that's where Sweetwater came from.
There was this drawing that looked so different from everything else in the space and also everything else that I had known about your practice as well. It's quite a small, very simple drawing, and yet there's a power to it in how different it is, in the kind of quick gestures within the drawing itself, and it does have this way of anchoring the works both on the walls as well as the installation. It was great that it immediately gave me the understanding that it was sugarcane, and then I was like, who did this? You know? Yeah, could you speak a little bit about the drawing?
Yeah, the drawing is fun and very dear to me. My dad made it because it is based on a childhood memory of his. So maybe like 15 years ago, I did this project where I sat down with him, and because he grew up, you know, with very little in this like farming region in Taiwan, they just don't have any images or photographs. And I was in school at the time studying photography. I did this whole project about like retracing his steps, and so I had him draw all these memories that he had, and one of them was just this sugarcane image that he had in his mind of them being everywhere, and they were so tall, and you know, he would play in this field at his friend's family's farm, and yeah, it just really solidified like this idea of this place from this time, because we revisited that exact farm like maybe 12 years ago or something like that. And it was totally just cleared. Like it just didn't exist anymore and nothing replaced it. And so it just really, I don't know, furthered this idea of this like ghost forest to me, of things just coming and going, and kind of what that says about the region, the economy, and about these families and about the heritage of these family businesses, and yeah, so I was thinking about this image for a long time, and then it kind of just, I don't know, came together with the hose, thinking about like this like ghost forest, the hosiery, and yeah. So I took my parents to the exhibition just on a quieter day so they could really just walk through it. And it was funny because at first, you know, it's like they didn't grow up around art or really understanding kind of what I do, or, I mean, they're very supportive, but they just really can't understand. I was just expecting to kind of go to the gallery and we'd be in and out in like 10 minutes, you know? Yeah. But actually they were like pretty interested and like asking a lot of questions, and I took like, you know, a photo of him with his drawing, and he was like, I think it kind of hit them in a different way because I had never really brought them through, you know, like an installation like that before, and it was so personal, and it really stemmed from his, you know, his story. And I think it embodied a lot of these components, like seeing his product, like the hosiery, as sugarcane. It somehow spoke, yeah, it spoke to them in like a very tender way. Yeah.
Do you want to speak a bit more about the other wall pieces in the exhibition?
So a lot of these forms that I find and collect are like packaging mold like structures, and I was initially attracted to them a long time ago because I think a lot about like language and characters. Like I said, the Chinese seal script character fragments are part of the Sweetwater installation, sugarcane bases, and also in the hourglass with the you and the me character. And when I first started collecting all of these pieces, they reminded me of characters because of all the like the inlay, shadows, and
the shapes
themselves,
sure.
Yeah. And then also just kind of what they represent is like this fossil of like consumerism and globalism, and I think a lot about, manufacturing and the landscape of these kinds of spaces. And also just as my background as an artist and a fabricator, I think a lot about these like backsides of things and the bodies and spaces around the actual commodity object and the support and structures around. And so I felt like these, mold packaging pieces really conveyed this idea of just like the support structures around the thing. It's like the negative space, but actually it's very important to have them. A lot of the imagery comes from my family's hosiery business, the graphic design that my father did with the factories in the 90s. The hosiery used to be called Serena.
Stop.
In the beginning. Yeah, in 1992. It was called Serena. Yeah.
I feel like it relates to like you doing this exhibition as an homage to your father and then your dad like creating this and calling it Serena. That's amazing.
Yeah. So I feel like, it's like my name. It's like I have to do something with this, with the hosiery. A lot of the imagery, it's interesting because it's all produced in Taiwan, and these factories and my dad are like creating this imagery, but it's for like a Western audience. And so there are these like strange kind of, I guess it's almost like these collisions of like two different aesthetics that are, it's like they're kind of these strange stereotypes, but they also don't really make any sense. Like some of them have these like models with like instruments and, wearing hosiery. And the like language that they choose to describe those pieces, like romantic knit, like it just, they're these strange, translations and images that, I've just kind of been drawn to. And so I appropriate them and recollage them and image wrap these packaging molds.
The packaging molds themselves, like I said, I had no idea that that's what they were, but walking into your studio and seeing them not wrapped in this collage, immediately. I recognize them immediately. They are things that we see constantly in the age of buying electronics, buying things off of online, Amazon. We get these boxes. All the things that we purchase come within these things that act as this negative space, but they aren't. They also are methods of protecting and organizing the objects that we are going to use.
Also the way that they're made, there's like these programs with these algorithms to just create the most efficient space around the object. And so I feel like that also kind of like plays into this conversation of like, the labor behind and also the like squeezing labor and like trying to make things as efficient as possible.
And then they are thrown out. It feels like there's a lot of metaphors there. And I think that that's actually a similar thing that's happening with the images themselves too. It's this meeting of two or even more cultures that are coming together, being forced to kind of push up against one another for a larger goal. And there is a new aesthetic that is built and created from this merging that exists not in Taiwan and also not in like an American mindset. For me, speaks to a lot of the ways in which a lot of Asian American artists are creating or thinking about what an Asian American aesthetic is, which is oftentimes like everything and nothing, because it's built from this kind of place of pieces being brought together that are kind of the like permutations are so different per person, per human, even if it's coming from like America and Taiwan, America and wherever.
I mean, it also blends a lot of not just like cultural identity, but also like working identities of these processes of like the collaging, but then also like the production from, like making all these frames and like for the video work, and a lot of that is like coming from my Shisanwu side of working, and so a lot of these sculptures kind of like blend a lot of parts about me.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. What's been keeping you going in the present?
Yeah. I've been pretty excited about working on these video collages and how they're integrated into the photographic collages and the molds. And so that's kind of a new direction. And then I am also organizing brainstorming, organizing a few different things through lunch hour and Shisanwu for some more upcoming exhibitions and events this year.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
You'll have to keep us posted.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much for chatting today.
Thanks for coming.